cloud.
You're looking really fuzzy. I just noticed that.
I know.
What's going on?
No shave November, right?
Well, it's January.
Oh, it is? Oh.
Yeah, it is. No, it looks good.
You
So,
know, I mean, I go back and forth.
yeah,
Go
I
teeth
know.
a while, do beards, and
You get through that itchy stage and then you shave it off and wonder why. Yeah, I know. I know. I actually have no idea what I'm talking about. But anyways, let's get started on our class. I'm Tracy with Fidelity. It's awesome. Thanks you guys for saying hi. Hi, Angie. Walt mentioned my post that I put up on Facebook today. I don't want to talk about the content in there. I'm going to let him do that. But I want to remind you guys that we have so many free, amazing resources at your fingertips. And I know we've been so busy this last year that we kind of forgot. So we have some amazing programs in Breakthrough Broker that are free. My Fidelity Agent app has a ton of social media posts and things on there, and calculators that are free for you guys, just to help you promote your business. So obviously it's getting a little quiet out there. So we really need to ramp up our efforts if we want to stay in this business and be successful this year. So that's why we're all on this call to get some great education. I'll be working on getting the CEs out this afternoon to all of you. And with that, that won't take it.
Perfect. Thanks, Tracy. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
And thank you for hosting the event as well. Always grateful to be able to chat with your folks and of course work with Fidelity. I of course get thrown around at different title companies from time to time, and I'm always grateful for the times that I'm with Fidelity.
So are we.
Especially in this market. So
yes, every single one counts now.
Any escrows that you guys have, please work with Fidelity. If you haven't worked with Fidelity in the past, try them out. I promise you they are a step above. So they do an awesome job. So
yes.
And of course, work with Tracy on, again, it's kind of funny because one of the posts or one of the slides I'm talking about today was literally just talked about yesterday. I just saw it yesterday, and boom, and all of a sudden she has it out on social media, and so it's kind of funny. It's funny how things work and happen, and that. So she's got great information and that to be able to share with individuals. So, all right, so we're gonna cruise. Let me pull up, let me share my screen. Okay, share screen. And I share this. Let me share this. Okay. Cool. So you guys can see my slide deck, correct? Yes, beautiful. All right, so let me get this out of the way. I always hate when the bar gets in the wrong area. So, all right, perfect.
There you go.
So you can still see it, right?
Yep, it looks good.
Perfect, thank you. All right, so 4 keys to success in 2023. As I was designing this class, I really wanted to touch upon really 4 key areas for success in 2023 that I believe you should have. And there's an area that, of course, we're getting killed at, and that's the media. And so the media has not been our friend for some time. And so we want to look at that, and we want to look at ways to be able to combat the media. But also it's important for you guys to know what we're hearing on rates and where rates are heading and home values and such. And then at the end, I wanted to take really a few minutes and talk about loans on a strategic level. So the loans that we're doing today are not your grandmother's loans. They're not your mother and father's loans. They are completely different loans. And so, and the way in which we think about those loans as well should be different. And, just running the 30-year fixed rate loan, that's fine. But I think there's a different way to be able to look about mortgages these days, and a way in which we do it as a team. So let me run through. The current change in supply and demand works in favor of the educated agent. And that's why you guys are all here, to be able to get educated, and to be able to do that. And mute. There we go. So to be able to get educated and to be able to grow, that's what all the top agents do. And all the top people in their professions, they all learn and grow on a consistent basis. So again, we're going to be looking at mortgage rates and what experts are saying about mortgage rates here to come, how to combat the headlines that are scaring agents and our consumers right now, the 2023 housing market forecast, and then strategic home loans to help clients. Now, if you guys have any questions, pop them in the chat. I thought I saw a hand pop up, so okay. So pop them in the chat and we'll try to go from there. So there we go. Yeah, come on. Okay. So a headline, this was Lynn with the Deputy Chief Economist Freddie Mac. He said, even with the recent moderation in mortgage rates, 2022 is shaping up to have the largest increase in rates of any calendar year in the past 5 decades. You know, we had, I mean, literally first time in my career, and I've been in the mortgage industry now 25 years, which that's crazy to say. Anyway, been in the industry for quite some time, but for 5 decades, so twice the amount of time that I've been in the mortgage industry, we had the largest increase this last year of interest rates, going from averaging 3.22% here in January up to 6.42% when we closed out the year in December. Massive increase of rates. I'm not telling you guys anything that you don't know, but there's some ramifications of that, and so we're going to be looking at that. Now we know that really in November, when the CPI report came out, that was November the 10th, was a beautiful day for mortgage rates. CPI report came out. They're looking at past numbers to last year, and so our November numbers were really, really good. Showed that inflation was starting to tick down. And that's when the start of mortgage rates starting to fall a little bit, starting to go down a little bit, happened. And I'm going to tell you a little secret. I just heard it this morning. Barry Habib, who's an economist that I listened to, and we're going to listen to one of his comments here in a minute. But Barry Habib said this morning that mark your calendars for March 10th. Because March 10th is the date that we should have a significant drop in the CPI or inflation numbers coming out. And CPI is what the Fed really looks at. And so March 10th, you want to start watching for, because that's when really rates should start to go down even further. Bill McBride said, my current view is inflation will ease quicker than the Fed currently expects. Now, the secret to mortgage rates is simply this: rates will go down as inflation goes down. So as soon as inflation really starts to go down, and we've seen that since November the 10th, starting to go down a little bit, rates are going to go down. Rates are going to fall with inflation. This was Barry Habib. Now, Barry, he is the owner of MBS Highway. You may have heard of him before. Barry is a 2 or 3 time crystal ball winner, which means he's been able to properly explain and almost time the market. I get a lot of information from him on mortgage-backed securities, on bonds, and so a lot of what I know is thanks to Barry. And Barry said, because we see a slowdown and we see the inflation comparisons start to become more and more favorable, you'll start to see that inflation number move lower, 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 lower. And as a result, mortgage rates should move similarly on a downward trajectory, probably giving us around 5%, below 5% within the next 6 months. So March 10th is going to be a day where I think rates are really going to start to go down. Right now, I mean, we're cresting right at that high 5, low 6s, level. And so we're just teetering right in that area. So within the next 6 months, we could potentially see below 6 or below 5%. What's that going to do for housing? So chief economist for Bright MLS, Lisa, had said prospective buyers may be tempted to try to time rates and jump into the market when rates dip, but timing rates is difficult. Anytime that you're looking at trying to time the market, you're always looking back. And so we never know when the lowest rates are. We know after we've had them. So trying to time the market is not a good move, is not a good move at all. Now, the panic has started to subside. There's been a spread between and I'm not going to go too in depth on this, but between the 10-year treasury and the 30-year treasury. If you want to know more, talk to me afterwards. But there's typically a spread, and that's called the margin. And the margin has been growing more and more. Investors have been taking a lot of margin up front because they know that loans that we're closing today are really only good for 6 months to maybe 18 months at most, that they're going to be refinanced. And so they're taking their margin up front. And that spread between the 10-year and the 30-year that typically tells us where we're heading has been higher due to that. Now, you'll notice that here in November and December, that the panic is starting to subside. That spread is lessening. Investors aren't taking as much margin up front. That the overall panic is starting to subside, meaning that rates are on their way down, guys. So how to combat the media? Now, I've shown this to you guys multiple times. Many of you have been in our classes for the last, several classes in that over the last year, and we're grateful for that. And so you've heard me talk a lot about Diana Orlick. Now, Diana Orlick is a commentator for CNBC. I'm sure she's a nice lady, but she has a tendency not to be our friend in housing. And case in point, so in 2015, she said housing today, bubble larger than 2006. In 2016, she said we're in a new housing bubble. 2017, home ownership doesn't build wealth, study finds. 2018, it's better to rent than to buy in today's housing market. 2019, the housing market is about to shift in a bad way for buyers. 2019, next year will be hard on the housing market, especially in big cities. 2021, housing boom is over as new home sales fall to pandemic levels. Sorry, I can't speak this morning. Now, had you been following her really what she's saying, you would have missed out on all of this appreciation. I notice the slide has been cut off a little bit, and I apologize for that. I can get you a new picture of this if you wish. But ultimately, you would have missed out on all this appreciation, which you would have missed out on over $200,000 worth of appreciation between that period of time, between 2015 and 2021. Well, Diana hits again. So her most recent shot, she says, homeowners have lost 1.5 trillion in equity since May as home prices drop. This is a common scare tactic that the media is playing. And this is what Diana is stating. Now, when you think of CNBC, when I think of CNBC, I think of somebody who is going to be nonpartisan, somebody who is going to be telling me the correct information and the most wise information. And I look at this, and if I didn't know the numbers, I would be thinking, holy cow, we've lost $1.5 trillion in equity. You know, when I was getting my haircut the other day, I'm listening to the barber next to me, and he's talking about his son buying a house and how his son's pausing on buying a house because they're waiting for values to fall. That's what he said. They're waiting for values to fall. Not just go down a little bit, but fall. Now, let's look at the truth behind this. Tappable home equity in a mortgage is equity below 80%. So meaning we can do a refinance on a house and we can do a cash out refinance up to 80%. Up to 80%, I mean, we're looking at homes right now that have $10.3 trillion worth of home equity. I mean, $10.3 trillion. We've gone down a little bit, yes, since 2022. Or at the Q1, Q2 of 2022, but we've gone up since 2021. And we've gone up since 2008 significantly. So the amount of home equity, and this is something that our clients need to understand, is that there's more equity in properties in today's market than ever before. I mean, truly than ever before. And so homeowners have very high levels of tappable home equity today, providing a cushion to withstand potential price declines. Let me reword that. Providing a cushion to withstand potential price declines, but also preventing housing distress from turning into foreclosure. Foreclosures aren't happening, guys. The result will likely be more of a foreclosure trickle, which is standard, than a tsunami. Now, LendingTree.com did a survey for all their clients, and they called it the housing market crash. Thank you, LendingTree. And so they wanted people to take their survey. 41% of Americans believe that the housing market will crash in the next 12 months. That's astounding to me. Again, they're listening to the media. 72% who believe the housing market will crash think that it will be as bad or worse than 2008. 58% of the group that expects a housing market crash in the next year say they're postponing housing related changes. So just think about that for a minute. This is what our clients under management, our past clients, whatever you wish to call our clients that we've worked in the past, and our current clients are seeing. This is what they're thinking, whether they're telling us or not. That's why the market, that's why there's not as many transactions right now. 41% believe that there's a housing market crash in the next 12 months. So we need to combat that. And I found that the best way to do that is through statistical data. That's why I'm sharing this with you. That's why this slide is so important, guys. You should be posting this everywhere, because the media has one job to do, and that is sell airtime, sell print, whatever. They're selling themselves. But the truth behind it is we have significant equity still. Yeah, so we've lost a little bit of equity. Okay, so what? We have $10.3 trillion worth of equity. Now, this was a most recent article. 15 years ago, the housing market crashed under similar circumstances in Yahoo Finance. Thanks, Yahoo. This was a month ago, December 15th, 2022. So a month ago, 15 years ago, the housing market crashed under similar circumstances. Are you guys seeing a housing market crash coming up? I'm not. Now, this is the slide that I'm talking about, that this was put out by the NAR. And this is something that Tracy posted this morning. And so today is nothing like 15 years ago, guys, nothing like it. Now I'm talking to the choir, but this is a slide that you need to be giving to your clients. So job cuts, gains. We've lost 8 million jobs during the 2008 crisis. Total jobs were 138 million. Now they're 158 million. Subprime loans, they were very prevalent in that market. Right now, not really prevalent. New construction, we had 7.65 million new homes being constructed. Today, 4.6 million. Inventory on the market, 3.8 to 4 million. Right now, we have 1 to 1.2 million. Now we need on average around 1.4 million just to survive, just to because of the new households that are being created. So that's something that needs to be shared with clients as well. We have more households being created than what we are for homes being able to be sold on a given basis on any year. Mortgage delinquencies were at 10.1% during the crisis of 2008. We're at 3.6%. which is typically average. Homes in foreclosure, 4.6%. We're at 0.6%, less than 1%, or 0.6%. And so less than 1%, which is typical for any given market. Now, the homes that I would think are probably in foreclosure are probably homes that a person just recently bought. Maybe they did a VA loan or 100% financing or something, and they're underwater a little bit. They just need to walk away. Things happen, and unfortunately, but this market, and this is why this slide is so important. This market is nothing like 15 years ago. So I'd be sharing this on all social media. I'm doing videos on it, sending it out, because I think we've got a very short period of time to be able to help our clients before the market comes back. So Jerome Powell, the head of the Federal Reserve, in June of 2022, so 6 months ago, he said, "I'd say if you're a home buyer, somebody or a young person looking to buy a home, you need a bit of a reset." Well, he sure reset the market, didn't he? So doubled interest rates because of inflation. And now I think it's important to know where inflation comes from. And inflation comes from printing money. And so they printed a lot of money during COVID. Well, they're back at it again, folks. So $1.7 trillion worth of printing money just happened again. So we've got more money hitting the American people, and it's needed. I understand that. I'm not a jerk. I mean, I get it, but that just means it's going to be harder for inflation to come down. So home price forecast for 2023. Now this is Realtor.com, and then another source, which is a private equity source, and then NAR, Freddie Mac, Fannie Mae, MBA, Zellman's always low. And so they're looking at really home appreciation, 5.4%, 2.6%, 0.3%, and even down. So it could end up being, kind of level. One thing that I find in our market here in Salem is that because we're the state capital, we don't see the gains that maybe Portland saw or maybe some other cities saw, but we saw some really good gains. And I don't see us really going negative this year. I see us somewhere in the ballpark of around 5% this year, from what I'm seeing locally. Now, real estate is all local, right? And we know that. So I see us being probably around that 5% range this year in our local markets. This is 2023 total home sales forecast. So, we're looking at an average of around 5.1 million homes sold. Fannie Mae saying around 4.6, NAR saying around 5.4. So it looks like that we closed somewhere in the ballpark of around 5.77 million. I haven't seen the final numbers for 2022, but I'll tell you, since 2008, we've gone up pretty considerably in homes sold. Of course, 2020 and 21 were gangbuster years with low interest rates, and then homes being sold. So are we going to end up somewhere around that 5.1 million? I think we're probably going to be closer to that 5.4, 5.5 million this year, showing really what we did around last year. And I think that it's going to end up being really the end of the last 6 months of the year where we do the majority of our business, as rates really start to tick down. And so the forecast this year is somewhere around that, again, that 5.4 million. So an NAR chief economist, Lawrence Yun, had said, the upcoming months should see a return of buyers as mortgage rates appear to have already peaked and have been coming down since mid-November. This is why I think that, well, let me share the next slide with you here. So this is David Stevens, the guy that we really need to be listening to. And again, I would be sharing this slide out there on all social media. He's the former assistant secretary of housing. So he knows the stuff. Pretty bright guy, David Stevens. He said, so be advised, this may be the one and only window for the next few years to get into a buyer's market. This may be your one and only window in the next few years to get into a buyer's market. And remember, as the Federal Reserve data shows, home prices only go up and always recover from a recession, no matter how mild or severe. Long-term homeowners should view this market right now as a unique time buying opportunity. So I think, I would be taking this and again, sharing it with everybody. This should be in your slide deck when you're talking to buyers, when you're talking to sellers. I think that literally we have probably the next 6 months, that's it, where this is a buyer's market. And I think that we have a very short window. This is my opinion. And this is what the data has been showing. So as we talked about, realtors really, and all salespeople, mortgage, any salesperson, we need to learn. We need to learn as much as we can. I'm talking to the choir. That's why you're on this course. I'm grateful for that. So the reality is that as we're confident in these numbers, as we're confident sharing statistical data, not letting the media overcome us or the media overcome our clients, but as our clients start to say things that then we can have statistical data to back it up and say, oh, that's actually not correct. But here's the truth behind it. Oh, that number, yeah, that's the media really, trying to sell more airtime. But here's the truth behind it. Clients, they really like that. They really enjoy it. And so the agents that are really going to excel through this period of time, I think, are going to be confident. They have all the numbers. That's why we're doing this class. If you're a bit confused in presenting to clients and how you present to clients, and you're a bit confused on the numbers, clients, they're going to feel that, and they're not going to move forward. And I think that's a missed opportunity for them. So we must control the narrative. It's so important. We must control the narrative. That's why social media is so important right now. That's why videos and sharing proper information is so important right now. For those that have watched me and know me, I was teaching a class on Saturday to small business owners and teaching a fiscal literacy class. We're talking about credit. We're talking about how money works, how the money mindset. And so, how credit works, how to get the best possible credit score, and investing. And so, and compound interest and all of that. We'll talk about inflation. So it's a 3-hour class. And I posted on social media that I had declared war on fiscal literacy. And so I had a person email me back and private message me, which I was grateful for, that said, aren't you declaring war on fiscal illiteracy? And I said, no, really, I'm declaring war on fiscal literacy, because what I'm seeing right now, a lot of things that are being taught is not correct. It might be old information, the way in which we did things 10, 15, 20 years ago, 30 years ago. But we need to do things differently today. And so that's really my thing. I'm trying to control the narrative of, with our clients and helping you as well with information that I think that you need, because our market is much different than it was just a year ago, just 2 years ago. And so it's really important for us to control that narrative. Now, if we're looking at 4 million homes being sold in a yearly period of time, which was really the average as we looked at since 2008, and somebody's being negative on the market, a great comeback can be, there's 11,000 homes being sold every day. And that's just the 4 million divided by 365. That's the reality in our market, is that there are 11,000 homes being sold every single day. Now, that breaks down into, there is 8 houses being sold every minute. So if your conversation's 5 minutes long, there were 40 homes sold in that 5-minute conversation. So why are you not selling them? And we can be negative and thinking that the sky is falling. And we know people like that, right? There are agents and lenders and people out there that the sky is falling. But I will tell you that right now, I think we've got more opportunity than ever before to be able to help our clients purchase homes, because it is a buyer's market for just a short period of time. I mean, who knew just this time last year? I mean, who knew that we would have a buyer's market? I was telling buyers at that time that we're not going to see a buyer's market for probably 5 to 6 years until we can build enough homes. We've got enough people that have purchased homes, but it's going to be a seller's market for probably the next 4 or 5, 6 years. And thankfully, I was wrong on that during this short period of time. It's a buyer's market. We're seeing buyers helping with closing costs and that. So let's look at really strategic, and I call it strategic home loans. But it's really, let's look at mortgages on a strategic level. And so I made a comment that said, the mortgages today aren't your grandmother's mortgage or aren't your parents' mortgage. And that is true. There's a couple paths that we can go. There's adjustable rate mortgages. Now this morning, as I was looking at rates on adjustable rates, and I priced out a loan, yeah, I wouldn't do an adjustable rate right this minute, because it changes. I mean, it changes day by day. Right now, the adjustable rate on a 5, 7, or 10-year ARM are actually higher than what a 30-year fixed rate is. So I can just go with a 30-year fixed rate mortgage. 30-year fixed rate, we were looking at around 6.125% this morning with a 1% rebate or 1% cost for the loan. The same on an ARM, we're looking around 6.625. So it'd make more sense to do a 30-year fixed mortgage. But buying down the rate, that might be a good alternative. But let's look at loans strategically. So now Lori Goodman had said, and Karen Call had said, the risks of ARMs were substantially mitigated by the regulatory reforms put in place after 2008. Today, ARMs are not the risky products of 2008 or even the pre-bubble version. ARMs are no longer something to fear. In fact, they could help borrowers save money and reduce borrowers' barriers to homeownership. Sorry. So I don't know if you ever see something and in your mind you keep trying to say another word, but anyway, that happens to me from time to time. Hey, I'm only human, right? So ARMs are coming back. We know that. But then there's another loan, a 2-1 buy down. And Linda had said temporary rate buy downs are a hot trend for mortgages and borrowers facing higher costs for home loans. Some buyers are exploring alternatives to traditional mortgages in a period of rising interest rates that is expected to continue in 2023. Buy downs are a less costly alternative to traditional fixed rate mortgages. So whether it's you're buying down the interest rate, whether you're doing a 2-1 buy down and the rate starts at like 4.25%, then it goes to 5.25%, then it goes to 6.25%, whatever. The buy down is really been coming into play. Again, looking at mortgages strategically. So as I go into looking at loans a little more strategically and sharing some numbers with you guys and some case studies, I believe that right now we are really at a pivotal point in the industry and in our lives professionally, I think. So when you're looking at, and the reason why this slide here shows a race car coming around a corner is I think that's really where we are in the industry. Now, as a race car comes around the corner, they win, the team wins, not in the straightaways. The driver wins not in the straightaways, but really in the corners. That's where everything's set up. It doesn't matter if it's a bike race, if it's a, if it's a running race, I mean, whatever. Yeah, in the straightaway maybe is where they actually win. That's where you see them win. But it's what happened in the corner that really helped them. So as a race car comes around the corner, are they gearing down? Are they coming into the corner properly? Are they getting into the right lines? Are they gearing down? Are they gunning it as they come around the corner? Do they gun it too early? Do they gun it too late? Are they, where are they at in that line? And there's a specific strategic line that race car driver needs to follow. And they need to follow it and they need to be able to monitor the car, to watch the car, to know the car. And they're a professional. They know what's going on. So they can feel everything in that car as it's coming around the corner. As it's coming around the corner, if they gas it too early, they may slide into the wall. If they gas it too late, other people pass them. If they put the gas on just right, they're going to shoot out of that corner. And in that straightaway, that's where they're really going to start to come forward. So Lacey, I'll take your question here in a minute. But as they start to go, so that's where I think for us, honestly, it's going to be in that straightaway. It's going to be, how are we coming out of the corner? How are we shooting around that corner? And how are we, during that straightaway, are we set up to help maximize and help all of our clients? That's really my goal with these classes, is to be able to help you guys set things up right and maximize things right. So yeah, and we'll send out the slides to you guys, and then you have those. So Lacey, you can either pop a question. Okay, perfect. So Julie, you want to pop a question into the question and answer, or in chat, whichever one can go. So I see that you just raised your hand. So yeah, just pop them in there, and then I'll be able to answer your questions there. And you guys can just do questions and answers. The chat may not work. So, okay, guys. So let's talk about really loans and how to look at loans strategically. So there's a lot of different opportunities out there. And this was just, I was just thinking this morning, I was thinking, okay, there's adjustable rate mortgages. There's the 2-1 seller buy down, where the seller is paying for the buy down. What do you do if a client's paying cash? I think that's a tremendous opportunity. And I think it's a little different opportunity than maybe what you guys are thinking. What about asking for closing costs and take that money and then reinvesting it with a financial planner? What about a trade down strategy? And so we look at a trade down strategy. So let's just look at a couple of these strategies here, one-on-one. If we're looking at a 30-year fixed rate mortgage, traditional, if you're buying a $500,000 house, 6.125% rate, your payment is around $3,500. And this covers taxes, insurance, the whole ball of wax, mortgage insurance. Your cash to close around $40,000. Now, if you do 2-1 buy down and you start at around a 4.25% rate, the seller is paying to buy down that rate, and it's going to start at 4.25. It's then going to go to 5.25, then 6.25. It's a great opportunity if you believe that rates are going to be coming down, which we do. That's a great opportunity, and the payment is $500 plus less per month. So that can help that client get comfortable with the payment, can help them get into that house. So if payment is the most important to the client, then that may want to be the way that we want to go. It's understanding what's most important to that client, and then giving them the expert advice to be able to help them, really brave the waters to come. Now, let's say that client says, you know what, I'm going to pay cash. I'm just going to pay cash. I have, I've sold my home. This is a trade down strategy. I've sold my home. I've got $500,000 cash. I'm just going to pay cash. But, that's one thing. That's okay. And there's reasons why people are going to pay cash. But you might help them understand that we're coming into a recession, right? And so cash is king in a recession. So you may want some of your cash during a recession. But hey, let's take a look at that. Now, instead of paying all cash, maybe put 50% down a house. And I think this is a great opportunity, because that other 50%, what do you do with it? Do you just invest it in the market? Do you maybe buy another property with it? What do you do with it? Now, we know that property values during a recession go up. It has happened every recession since 1955. Values go up. So could buying a house and another, maybe a rental, be a wise thing to do instead of just paying 100% cash for a house? Let's say that it's a senior and they went from, they sold their house, they have $500,000 cash, and maybe they don't want a mortgage payment, but they would like to have some investments. But if they pay cash for the house, the only investment is their house. That's it. Now, maybe we do a reverse mortgage for them and we take the other $250,000, maybe buy another property that helps offset their tax payment and their mortgage payment. Now, on a reverse, they don't have a monthly mortgage payment. It's taken out of the equity of the house every month. So, but they do have taxes. They have taxes they have to pay. So maybe that rental helps offset that taxes. Or maybe the rental gives them enough money to be able to purchase a long-term care policy. There's so many different paths. So I think paying cash probably, for some people, I think paying cash is a wise thing. But I think that for a lot of the general public, I think paying cash is not the wisest decision. So I think it's a great opportunity for you to be able to stand out above the crowd and say, hey, is paying cash the right thing? Let's get you over to Walt and let's analyze that. And if it is, then awesome, let's do it. But if there's some other things that we can do, maybe with the help of a financial planner, maybe let's look at those things. So paying cash, now total cash to close is $263,000 with closing costs. When you're $250,000 loan amount. And so actually it's going to be a little bit lower than that on closing costs. But anyway, I'm just saying it's $263,000. So seller paying closing costs, seller paying the closing costs. Now that can be something that if a client doesn't have the money, then we look at it strategically and have the seller pay closing costs. But here's another idea. What if, just thinking outside the box, what if a seller contributes $14,250 towards closing costs, but the buyer already had that money? They already had the $40,000 in essence to buy the house. But we ask the seller anyway for closing costs because sellers are given closing costs today. It's a buyer's market, right? So what if, again, let's look at this strategically. We take that $14,250, invest it at 8% return. Now, I know that your next question is going to be, where do you find an 8% return? So the average in the S&P has been over 10% for the last 30 years. So I'm just saying 8%. Now, over 15 years, that 8% grows to $47,000, that 42.5. Now, let me do this real quick for you here. So 14,250 at 8% over 30 years grows to $155,000. So what if you have a buyer that is they're just on the fence and they're saying, maybe I want to wait until rates go down a little bit. Could that be a discussion that you have with them? Is that a strategic discussion to say, hey, I know that you have enough money to buy, and I know that you think house values are going to come down. Maybe they do a little bit. But what if I had a way for you to buy this house, to buy the house that you want, and over 30 years, not only have it paid off, but create another $155,000 in an investment for yourself? Would it make sense then? Do you believe that home values could fall $155,000? Well, I can help you create that over that 30-year span. If we got the closing costs from the seller, $14,250, we max out the seller closing costs. Now, going back to the client that has $250,000, same conversation. And instead of putting that 250 or all cash down on the house, maybe we take 250 invested at 8%. Over 15 years, it grows to 826,000. Over 30 years, it grows to $2.7 million. So what's important to that seller? Now, did they say, hey, I'm worried about a recession? So do you have a client that says, I'm thinking about taking my house off the market because I'm worried about a recession coming up? This might be a great philosophy for them, is say, hey, let's take 250, let's put it in. Oh, I'm going to sneeze. Excuse me, sorry. Allergies all of a sudden just hit me. So let's take the 250, let's invest that with the help of a financial planner. Now, do you think you can get a relationship with a financial planner if you're helping them invest $250,000? I would say so. There could be some additional business coming from that financial planner. They'll love you forever. Take that. And the thing is that literally in 8 months, they will have enough money in that $250,000 account at 8% return. They'll have enough money to physically write a check and pay their mortgage off. So in 8 months, they're debt-free again. They're still making a mortgage payment, but they're debt-free in essence because they can physically write a check and pay their mortgage off. So maybe that seller, they're saying, okay, I believe a recession is coming. I want to take my house off the market. But you can say, you know what? What if we sold your house? What if we took $250,000? What if we invested that with a financial planner? What if in 8 months you could be debt-free again because the $263,000 is your closing costs. That's what it costs to get into the house. But you could be debt-free again. Now you have the money in that account to cover a recession, to cover, if you need cash during a recession, maybe cover business expenses if you needed that. Maybe buy another house again, maybe invest. There's so many different ways to be able to look at this, but look at a loan strategically instead of just, here's a 30-year fixed rate mortgage. So I think right now, and this is just me and some other experts that I heard on this, but in the real estate realm, I think that the biggest opportunity right now is really in 3 areas. One is education. And so helping our clients understand what's coming up. Now, we're really in a recession right now. And truth be told, we're really in a recession, even though they've changed the definition of a recession. So whenever they say we're in a recession, we'll be in a recession. But to the old definition, we're really in a recession. We've been in a recession since kind of mid-2022. People think differently during a recession. And so helping educate people past the media with statistical data. So I think that education is one of the first areas. And that's through social media, and we can help you with social media and a lot of other areas. But it's having this information to be able to share with your clients. It's being confident about the information when you're sharing it with the client. I think that's the first area. Second area, I think, I think homes that have recently gone off the market, and so homes that have recently gone off the market, expired listings, I think, are a huge opportunity. Because again, if you know the numbers, if you can show the seller, and if you can think about things strategically, I'm happy to help you do that. I think that's an untapped market. Strategically talking to the seller about, hey, here's why your house didn't sell, and here's what we can do to help. With the help of my lender, we can do this. And so we share statistical data with them. Because the one thing that people cannot contend with is true statistical data. Nobody can contend with it because it's truth. People see the media, and the media is emotional. That's why I've stopped watching the media some time ago, because it is emotional. They're selling print, they're selling airtime. So those are the two areas: education, expireds. I think another untapped market is for sell by owners. So for sell by owners are looking for something, and again, they need statistical data. Statistical data shared with them in the right way. And I think that's a great untapped market right now. So any questions? Are there any questions here real quick? And then I do want to say one last thing. Okay, so no questions. So here is my plea. I'm here to help you. Tracy's here to help you. Please, especially in this market, give us an opportunity to work with your next client. I know Fidelity could use it. I know we could use it as a team. And so we need help bringing more transactions in to be able to share these concepts with more clients. And we could use your help. So please give us an opportunity to work with your next client, your next transaction. If you have any questions about any of the information that I've shared with you, please reach out to Tracy or myself. Tracy can explain it. I can explain it. We're both here to be able to help you. The next, I think, 6 months are going to be tough. I think it's going to be really tough. We're going to see a lot of people, I think, get out of the business. We've already started to see a lot of people get out of the business, lender side and realtor side. Let's help each other stay in the business. And so everybody that's on this call, let's help each other stay in the business. Let's do business together, like-minded individuals, like doing business with like-minded individuals. Let's do that, and let's really help to survive and thrive through 2023, because I know that we can help each other out. All right, thanks, guys.
Thanks, Walt. We'll be getting the CEs out. Looks like we're getting some comments down there. Just a reminder that Walt will be sending out the slides and the video, and it all processes.
Yep.
I get a lot of requests for that. So awesome. Cool. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Have a great day. Bye.
Bye.